All right, and attached you will find minutes for the Drumheller District Foundation, the Municipal.
Do that?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, so the grant comes from the Marigold Library System, and the total is $19,955, and it's received in 3 installments.
All right. Any questions on that, Council? I can't remember who requested that information, Stephanie, but thank you for getting that, keeping us informed. All right, let's see.
How about we could go to, not to jump around, but we could do the COVID update by Greg and Dave with 9.1. Oh, do we? Oh, there we go.
Okay, wonderful. All right, well then we will go back to 6.1, and today we have STARS, Shock Trauma Air Rescue Service Foundation, and Glenda Farndon, who is the Senior Municipal Relations Liaison. So welcome to Council, Glenda, and we will now turn it over to you for your presentation.
Thank you so much. It's so great to see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces as well. It's been a while since I've had the opportunity to be there with you in person and bring you an annual update. So I appreciate that. Should I be sharing my screen, or Denise, will you have it up on your end? Okay, thank you very much. Perfect. And can we go to full slideshow and first? And no, if you go to slideshow and then to first on the bar at the top. Perfect. Can everyone see that?
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
can.
Thank you so much. So first and foremost, we want to thank the town of Drumheller for our partnership that enhances innovation and allows STARS to provide critical care anywhere. Next slide, please. The COVID pandemic continues and STARS remains under strict protocol to protect our operations. Our transport physicians continue to provide critical care guidance and assist local healthcare professionals with airway management, ventilation, and resuscitation procedures. We also continue to see a rise in stress-related types of missions like heart attack, stroke, drug overdose, and approximately 1 in 5 missions are COVID-related. Next slide, please. The pandemic has impacted our revenue in all funding areas. The long-awaited HEMS review was released by the government of Alberta and posed several recommendations regarding STARS, but for now, these remain only recommendations. Government has indicated they will continue with consultation before making any final decisions. So in the meantime, they did extend 20% government funding for STARS this year, which is the same amount of funding they have provided in previous years. While the demand for STARS is increasing, we continue to assist with the pandemic, and we must also continue to fundraise 80% of our crucial operational funds. The pandemic has forced us to think outside the box and be proactive, so we identified operational and fundraising efficiencies. Sadly, we also had to downsize staff members in affected areas like events across all 6 bases. The STARS lottery remains the single largest funding source for STARS. And because of this, we went ahead with the lottery despite the pandemic in 2021, and Albertans continued to stand by our side. That lottery sold out. And now the 2022 lottery is fast underway. And we have a lot of new bonus prizes as well. And to be eligible for these prizes, you must get your tickets before February 16th. So that's coming soon. So you can go to starslottery.ca. The calendar campaign has also significantly decreased with the inability to travel to rural communities. So we had municipal partners that often offered to help, and calendar sales were available at many town offices across the province. It's an unforeseeable future for our main state events, and we cannot exist without community support. We're grateful to many rural communities who continue to host online 50/50s and raffles in place of their community fundraisers that still cannot be held. And we developed a new safe online multi-provincial radiothon to help support our mission. Next slide, please. Behind the scenes, the STARS Emergency Link Center is an immediate 24/7 safety network, and they have access to every available resource, including GIS mapping, as well as preset coordinates to help locate a patient. They receive over 31,000 emergency requests every year. And there's approximately a 1-to-10 ratio for every STARS mission flown. So for example, if a rural community like Drumheller were to see 10 STARS missions per year, it's likely that STARS has also assisted your local hospital and first responders with 100 additional emergency calls each year. Our transport physicians provide virtual consultation with your local doctors, as well as they provide medical oversight for all critical patients. So regardless of how a patient may be transported by ground ambulance, Alberta Health Services fixed wing, rotary wing, or STARS helicopters, it is our transport physicians who are the link to providing critical care anywhere. Next slide, please. A new pilot project is also launched with our transport physicians now taking shifts in the Emergency Link Center. It is proving to be extremely effective. STARS crews administer the critical care while en route to the hospital, and our transport physicians are also saving precious time on the back end by coordinating the complex logistical arrangements with the receiving hospitals for such things as scheduling neurosurgeons, cardiac cath lab, and CAT scanners. In time-dependent cases, like a brain bleed, for example, minutes count. Physicians are now able to make face-to-face decisions virtually using real-time diagnostics. This results in the immediate direct delivery of critical patients to an operating room. It is a game changer. Next slide, please. Let's have a look at 5-year mission overview for the town of Drumheller. We continue to see the mission rate increasing across the entire province. Overall, in the Drumheller area, we see an average of about 21 missions per year. Based on 21 missions, this represents over $150,000 in service value for your residents annually. As you can see in 2021, the mission rate doubled from the previous year, up to 31 missions for critical transfers, and also a significant increase in scene calls. Everyone travels, commutes for work or recreation, and traveling into neighboring municipalities. Emergencies do not always happen close to home. Drumheller residents may have also been flown within incidents that occur in your neighboring municipalities. The value of our partnership is evident by your residents having access to STARS, whether it's in their daily travels or traveling across Western Canada. Next slide, please. The Municipal Initiative Partnership is vital to the sustainability of our operations. The green areas represent a municipal supporter, including into Northeastern BC. Alberta municipalities recognize STARS as an essential service and also a vital asset of the emergency protective services that they provide for their residents. Approximately 90% of Alberta rural and urban municipalities are united in regional partnerships, like the town of Drumheller, along with your regional neighbors. Majority of commitments are pledged at a $2 per capita basis or an annual fixed dollar value each year. We thank you for your previous commitments that have helped to generate over $2 million in sustainable funding each year for our operations. The 7 municipalities outlined in the red boxes have received logo recognition for their unwavering support of STARS. Next slide, please. Massive undertaking of a $138 million fleet campaign seemed almost impossible. And of course, not knowing at the time that we would also be amid a global pandemic. Federal, provincial, and municipal governments have embraced the vision of 9 H145s to serve our areas for the next decades to come. It's awe-inspiring as we continue to receive a lot of support for the new fleet from corporate, dedicated individuals, and even municipalities. Approximately $1.8 million has been raised from municipalities contributing a one-time voluntary gift. We anticipate that we will raise approximately $15 million towards the campaign from the sale proceeds of the previous aging fleet. And with recent gifts just received, we are now less than $3 million remaining. So our campaign continues. This H145 that you see outperforms our previous BK117 in speed, range, and fuel efficiency, and it's known for its power. The unique Finestron tail delivers increased maneuverability and decreased noise and vibration, and has significant safety features over the previously exposed tail rotor, which would require a second pilot to act as a safety pilot when loading and unloading a patient. Next slide, please. This new Airbus H145 is breakthrough technology. It has advanced avionics. It has 5-bladed system for increased lift and load capacities. It has significant safety features, which also will reduce operational costs. The town of Drumheller is already being served by this new H145. We're excited for the final 2 to arrive in the coming weeks for the Edmonton and Grand Prairie bases, and we expect pilot training to be completed in the spring, as it was delayed due to COVID. And we anticipate that we will be fully H145 operational across all 6 bases in Western Canada by June or July of this year. On the right-hand side, the state-of-the-art Airborne Intensive Care Unit has the latest in medical technology. It's equipped with Bluetooth and satellite connectivity. The transport physicians are always in communication with our crew, and by using real-time diagnostics that are transmitted to the transport physicians working in either the Emergency Link Center or the physicians at the receiving hospitals. When you combine this with the expertise of our STARS crew, this results in STARS now providing the highest level of critical care available today. Next slide, please. STARS was born out of necessity. We've been serving Albertans since 1985 with more than 45,000 missions flown, and at no cost to our patients. We thank you, Town of Drumheller, for your life-saving partnership and supporting STARS since 1989. Thank you for your previous pledges of support that were at $5,000 per year and presented annually at the famous Old Grouch 24 Jam. What a tremendous, inspiring community event that has provided many years of support for Drumheller patients flown. We realize that these are challenging times, yet the demand for STARS continues to increase, as we've also seen in your area, and we need your continued support. We kindly request your continued partnership, and we ask for a $1 per capita pledge of support over a 4-year term in conjunction with your council term. You will help us to secure sustainable, reliable funding for STARS services for your residents. A life is saved every day, and partnerships are what make this possible. You are STARS' reason for being, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
Comments or questions first? Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, just one comment regarding the funding from the provincial government. My understanding is that STARS is funded just when they are in the air and not when they are on the ground. And that's why there seems to be kind of a, I don't know, I heard that somewhere. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I just further to that, I guess I'm wondering, I mean, STARS to a certain extent is the ambulance for Drumheller. And I tell people many, many times that, one of the advantages we have in Drumheller is that we're 20 minutes away from the best hospital and the best physicians and the best healthcare in the world because of STARS. So I guess I'm wondering if maybe we should consider an Alberta municipality's resolution to up the funding of STARS, I guess is my bottom line question. something for council to consider.
Well, as I had mentioned, with the HEMS review that came forward, that it did have several recommendations posing for new air ambulance legislation in Alberta, as well as STARS to be as the dedicated HEMS provider for Alberta, with increased funding to 50% funding, which would still mean that we need to raise 50%, but certainly that is in an advancement of 20% government funding, which is still what we've been receiving since 2010. With that in mind, though, they have posed that they will not, they're going to continue with their consultations. So in the meantime, they have extended the 20% funding, which we're very grateful for. And as we move forward, it's the 20% represents block funding from the government. So no matter how many interfacility transfers that we may do, it's a block amount of funding. So I hope that that helps to clarify, that it's not based on whether or not we're in the air or not in the air. It is a block funding per year.
Anybody else? All right, I will call upon our CAO, Daryl.
And so we've looked at, you're right, we've provided $5,000 a year for funding for the last number of years, and we've looked at the opportunity to do whether continue that or go to the dollar per capita. And what we felt was that we, for the next 4 years, that we could commit to double that funding of $5,000. So we would do $10,000 in funding, with the hope that, of course, that our population catches up. But we think that that's quite good. I know I live just south of the hospital, and I heard STARS just this morning coming overhead, both coming and going. So I certainly hear and know that it has been an uptake in the amount of usage of it over the last 12 to 18 months. And we think it's an incredibly valuable service, and we're very proud to support that in the town of Drumheller.
Thank you so much. So I really appreciate this confirmation that you will have increased support and allow for STARS each year in your budgets. Like, that's the most meaningful thing that we can have. I can't wait to come and see you in person and bring you your annual updates again, now that hopefully things are going to somehow return back to somewhat normal life again. It will be my pleasure and privilege to be able to work more closely with your council once again. So thank you very much for your support.
Lisa, go ahead.
The presentation, absolutely, the service that STARS provides is invaluable. But that being said, with the comment that Daryl just made there, are we planning on still continuing with the donation at the 24-hour jam, but with a larger amount, or will this be done separately?
That's a great question, Lisa. I have not heard about the 24-hour jam happening this year. So if it did, I think we would do the same thing as we've done in the past with the presentation. And if not, then the proverbial check would be in the mail to Glenda and team. So
fantastic. And I just want to throw a shout out to Twitter with STARS. Every time I hear the helicopter in the sky, I'm on Twitter, and it's a great resource. It tells you what they're coming for, if it's an hospital transfer or a scene flight. Like, it's pretty awesome tool for especially nosy old me. But thanks, and I'm glad and proud as a councillor that we can still support such a great venture.
Thank you. We haven't heard, with the COVID situation, we haven't been able to, the jam has not been held, and I'm not sure how that is as far as going forward. I haven't talked with the event people to know whether or not they've had conversations with the family. So if it is that way, then certainly we would celebrate the opportunity to have that recognition piece, but I'm not really sure where that's at now, whether or not that event will continue.
All right, anybody else? Okay, so for the listening public, I would like to remind you that get your advance tickets by February 16th at starslottery.ca. And again, this is another great way that we can support the cause, because yes, it is used in our community quite a bit, and we need to try and do our part to keep it in the air. So thanks, Glenda, for the presentation. It was very informative. And thanks so much for your time and patience. And we will see you around soon.
Very much.
Okay.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Take care.
You too.
Okay,
Bye.
let's move on to 6.2, and Heather Bitts, Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, as well as Martina Morrison, who is the President of the Chamber of Commerce. So I will turn the floor over to you, ladies.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Mayor, Council, and Town Administration. And thank you for the opportunity to present to you today.
Can you see my slides? Sorry.
We can see the
too
notes.
much of your slide, yes.
You can see too much of mine?
We can see the notes.
Just hang tight. Is that better?
Looks good.
Yes, it is.
You can just see the slide,
Just the
not my
slide,
notes.
yep, not the
Perfect.
notes.
Thank you. Go ahead, Martina.
Thanks. I'm Martina Morrison. I'm the current president of the Tripolarian District Chamber of Commerce. I'm also joined, obviously, by Heather Bitts, our executive director. Oh, Heather, you're showing the notes again. Thank you. So the Drumheller District Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit membership-driven organization comprised of businesses, organizations, and individuals committed to building a strong business community. We continue to work towards this mission through our 4 pillars: promotion of local business, awareness of membership benefits and the Chamber of Commerce, advocacy on behalf of our membership at the local, provincial, and federal levels, and providing opportunities for members to learn, share, and network. Next slide, please, Heather. Thank you. The Chamber of Commerce is governed by a volunteer board of directors. Our bylaws allow for 12 elected members to serve on the board, along with 1 appointee from the town of Drumheller. Currently, we have 11 board members representing a variety of business sectors in our community. Our executive is comprised of myself, Vice President Deanna Hannum from the Dinosaur Valley Massage and Wellness, our Secretary Treasurer, Lisa Maggie from Pro Plan Financial and the Cooperators. Our past president is Jeff Hall from Myers, Norris and Penny. And our directors include Mike Bell from Western GM Drumheller, Christine DeMille from the General Store and Wanderlust Boutique, Randy Schneider from the Drumheller Registries, Bob Shetty from the Drumheller Mail, John Schaff from Reality Bites, Shannon Wade from Highway 9, and Lisa Hansen-Zachrak, which is our town of Drumheller appointee. Next slide, please. This slide shows how our organization is structured. Essentially, we have 4 key departments: the Chamber of Commerce, which is focused on providing services to our members who pay an annual fee to be part of the organization; the world's largest dinosaur and gift shop, our tourist attraction and retail store, which pre-COVID welcomed an average of 125,000 visitors annually; the Visitor Information Center, which provides valuable services to thousands of visitors who visit Drumheller each year; and lastly, our support services, which relates to our contract with the Government of Alberta to provide staff in various areas of the Royal Tyrrell Museum. Between all those departments, we employ approximately 42 permanent year-round staff, and upwards of 30 seasonal staff. Now I'm going to give it to Heather Bitts.
Sorry, technical difficulties. I'm trying to unmute myself. Okay, thanks, Martina. So with regards to chamber membership, just wanted to provide you some highlights. We concluded 2021 with 243 members, which is relatively unchanged from 2020. We are pleased that we have been able to maintain a consistent membership level over the last years in light of the recent economic hardships that we have all faced. Last year, we had 23 new members join the chamber, and if you wish to see a complete list of our chamber members, that's available on our website, drumhellerchamber.com. So we believe a key factor in the retention of chamber membership is building relationships with those members. We are actively communicating with our members through a variety of means, personal face-to-face visits, of course, when possible, telephone, social media, specifically Facebook and Instagram, as well as our bi-weekly newsletter and direct email correspondence. And as we work to build those relationships with our members, we're also promoting the benefits of membership. And one of those benefits is access to the value-added programs, which can help businesses save time, money, and resources. So through our affiliation with the Alberta and Canadian Chambers of Commerce, we are able to offer a number of value-added programs to our members. The Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan continues to be one of the most highly utilized programs, with 77 of our members enrolled. In addition, members can access merchant discount programs for their POS terminals through ATB, First Data, and Elevon. As well, we have fuel discounts with Esso and Petro-Canada, shipping discounts with Purolator and UPS. And also we have 2 programs to assist businesses with their payroll needs, which is PayWorks and ADP. And Peninsula is a relatively new program that helps businesses with their human resources and legal services. So as Chamber of Commerce, one of our key roles is to advocate on behalf of business to help promote a stronger economic climate. We do that in several ways, such as drafting policy resolutions, surveying businesses, and sharing feedback to government or in meetings with government officials. Our chamber has advocated locally to the town on a variety of topics over the years, including most recently the Downtown Area Revitalization Plan and the Fireworks Bylaw. Previously, we have also provided input on the Mobile Vendor Bylaw, Municipal Purchasing Policy, and derelict buildings, to name a few. Our chamber is also, as I mentioned, a member of the Alberta and Canadian Chambers. These organizations also advocate on behalf of our business community to the provincial and federal governments, respectively. At a provincial level, we attend the Alberta Chamber AGM and participate in their policy committee. And since the start of the pandemic, we have participated in weekly meetings with our provincial network as we have worked through many of the challenges faced by the business community. And of note, when it comes to municipal or provincial election time, the Alberta Chambers of Commerce puts together their Vote Prosperity platform. Vote Prosperity is a nonpartisan and non-candidate specific platform of business priorities to support shared long-term prosperity of communities across the province. And at the federal level, for the last 2 years, we have participated virtually in the Canadian Chamber AGM, where, like the Alberta Chamber AGM, policy resolutions of a federal nature are put forward to the membership for consideration. And throughout COVID, the Canadian Chamber has been very active on a number of fronts, advocating for business with regards to financial business support programs, rapid testing programs, and more recently, supply chain issues. And next, I'd like to just comment on some of the things that we've been doing the last couple of years with the arrival of the global pandemic. Of course, our chamber had to shift gears on many fronts in 2020, and we're still doing that today to some degree. So from the start, our chamber has worked to be a resource to our members and the business community by sifting through the information that was being disseminated from all levels of government. Initially, we increased our email communications from monthly to weekly to focus on communications to focus our communications on business supports available to the business, as well as the new public health restrictions. We have since moved back to bi-weekly e-newsletters. Early on in the pandemic, we also created a page on our chamber website, which provided an up-to-date status of local business list, which provided information as to whether businesses were open with curbside pickup or delivery, or closed. We also created a COVID-19 information and resource page on our website, which is still relevant today and is still accessible. When the town was under a state of local emergency in 2020, the chamber staff were involved in distributing plexiglass shields, physical distancing stickers, and posters to the business community as well. Despite having to cancel most of our regular events, our lunch and learn program moved online, as did our Women in Business mixer. And with the lifting of restrictions, we hope to move to more in-person events going forward. Last summer, of note, we were pleased to receive a federal government grant via the Alberta Chambers of Commerce to run a variety of shop local initiatives. These included 2 rounds of a program we called Mission Possible, Customer Service Superstar Awards, Drumheller themed shop local bags, 16 promotional business videos, a new chamber cash program, and Chamber Market, which is an online shopping platform that was created by the Alberta Chambers of Commerce. This fall, with interest from the business community, we signed up to be a distributor of rapid test kits. These rapid test kits are available to businesses to implement a workplace testing program for their employees, either once a week or twice a week. And lastly, we were happy to work with the town and many new business owners to celebrate a number of new businesses who opened up in our community throughout the pandemic. Last year, we assisted with a total of 6 ribbon cuttings. And another highlight from 2021 was the Building Enhancement Grant Program. In late 2020, we were approached by CAO Dromerski to administer the Building Enhancement Grant Program, which was previously the Storefront Enhancement Grant. We agreed, and in partnership with funding from the town and Community Futures, we pooled our funds to offer $35,000. This program is to encourage local businesses to enhance their building exteriors or interiors by modernizing and improving appearances. And in 2021, we were glad to support 10 businesses with funding for their projects. Applications for 2022 are currently open and will actually close tomorrow, February 15th. This year, we have increased our chamber contribution, so there will be a total of $40,000 in funding available to help support our local business community. And moving on to the world's largest dinosaur. Like many attractions, the world's largest dinosaur was impacted by the COVID pandemic throughout 2020 and into 2021. In 2021, we had 74,873 people climb inside the dinosaur, despite the attraction being closed from December 13th, 2020 to June 9th, 2021, as a result of the public health restrictions that were in place in that time period. So while it was a 15% increase over our 2020 visitation, it is well below our 5-year average, which is just over 116,000 people. With the arrival of COVID also, we suspended our monthly contributions to the World's Largest Dinosaur Legacy Fund to aid our operation with cash flow. We have since resumed these contributions as of December 2021, and our capital repair fund, we did continue throughout the pandemic to contribute 25% of admissions when the dinosaur was able to be open. And just a couple notes about some media visits that we've had. So last year we had visits from Expedia and National Geographic to do filming of the dinosaur. So still, after 20 plus years, we're still receiving media requests and entertaining those requests to film the dinosaur. So we're quite happy with that. And looking forward, the board of directors is discussing plans for the future maintenance of the structure so we can ensure that the dinosaur is around for years to come. And our visitor information center. So as you are aware, visitor services providers such as ourselves are often the first point of contact for a visitor coming to our community. And therefore, we play a critical role in destination support. Visitor services help to increase the economic contribution of tourism by promoting the broad range of tourism experiences in the community and increasing the total expenditures by visitors. COVID has changed our, COVID has changed our interactions with visitors from less face-to-face to more online or telephone consultations. However, we are still fulfilling this important role. In 2020, we counseled 27,000 visitors in person, and in 2021, almost 23,000 visitors were counseled. And at the present time, we are working with a change management class at Grant MacEwan University to consider how our organization could transition to a more virtual model of providing visitor services to better serve the needs of visitors in light of changes brought on by the pandemic. And also note, last year, we partnered with Drumheller, the town, and Community Futures Big Country to create a customer care training program. Drum Discovery is intended to equip local employees so they can help visitors make the most of their time in the Valley. Plans are already underway for the 2022 program, which is expected to include a full day FAM familiarization tour, a FAM tour of the area, along with a half-day session of customer service training and community support information, followed by a graduating ceremony. We believe the visitor services we are providing are of great value to our local community and the tourism industry in general. We would like to thank the town for your continued financial support of the Visitor Information Center through the annual fee-for-service agreement. This funding is vital to ensuring we can continue to provide high quality service to the thousands of visitors coming to our community each year. And a couple more slides in closing. I would like to just highlight some other areas in the community that the Chamber of Commerce is involved with as we recognize the importance of relationships and working together. So the Chamber continues to provide support to the Dino Arts Association. While the Chamber of Commerce maintains ownership of the dinosaur structures that you see around town and insures them, the Dino Arts Association works to maintain the dinosaurs and fundraises for their upkeep, as well as the addition of any new dinosaur structures. Annually, the Chamber provides $5,000 plus up to another $5,000 in matching funds to the association. The Chamber also provides staff for administrative support to the group, and we are gracious for all the volunteers who come forward to serve on the Dino Arts Association board, as well as the volunteers who help with painting the dinosaurs. We are also very thankful to the town for their support of the Dino Arts Association. The Public Works Department has been a great help in moving of dinosaurs when required and the installation of new dinosaurs. And the Chamber continues to have a representative serving on the Drumheller Marketing Association Board of Directors. Debbie Chenor, our Tourism Services Manager, is the representative to the Drumheller Board. Chamber Board Member Mike Bell is currently serving as our representative on the Community Futures Board of Directors. And Jeff Hall is our representative to the town's Economic Development Advisory Committee. And for many years, our Chamber has also been providing the Business Leader of Tomorrow scholarship, one to a student in grade 12 at DVSS and one to a student at St. Anthony's School. So we continue to show our support there through the schools. And our Membership Services Coordinator, Marley Henney, is a regular attendee of the Community Business Association meetings, and she is an active participant on the Festival of Lights Committee to assist with the implementation of this event, along with the town and other business partners. And both Marley and myself are also actively involved in the planning and implementation of the Celebration of Excellence Awards Gala in partnership, again, with the town, the Rotary Club, and Drumheller. And lastly, as we look forward a little bit farther into 2022, a number of plans are already underway here at the Chamber. We've had one lunch and learn already in January. Our next one is coming up on Wednesday, February 23rd, which will be on optimizing Google business profiles. We're going to continue to host them online, but I expect that we will be transitioning back to our in-person lunch and learns when we're able to gather safely in a group setting. And our annual general meeting as well will be coming up the latter part of March. It will be in person. That's going to be our first in-person event. So stay tuned for the date announcement on that. And in June, we are also planning to host the Celebration of Excellence Awards Gala after a 2-year hiatus. So we've blocked June 9th for that. So if you want to mark your calendars for that. So we just had a planning meeting today. And that concludes our presentation. So if you have any questions or comments, Martina or myself would be happy to respond. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Heather. I will get you to just remove your screen so I can see all of my council and see their hands up. Because, all right. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Heather and Martina. I guess my first comment would be, I think a lot of people in Drumheller don't realize what an active Chamber of Commerce we have. That I don't think a lot of people realize all that you do, and it's all for the betterment of Drumheller. And also, you know, we have an organized business community who talk with each other and work together, and again, all for the betterment of Drumheller. As you mentioned, I guess my favorite of the whole presentation was the idea that you are going to have the Celebration of Excellence again. I'm absolutely thrilled with that. It's been a long time coming, and I'm just wondering, there are a number of awards that are going to be presented there. And if people want to nominate, how would they go about nominating for these awards?
Perfect question, Tom. We just discussed that a few hours ago. So the Chamber, for our awards, we opened up our nominations last Friday. So those are open till, I believe, March 18th. Travel Drumheller, the town, and the Rotary Club are getting their award application processes together, and those will be expected to be opening soon as well. So we're hoping to have that all out very shortly.
And I'll just add, we're also working on trying to have a website where you can go to see all of them so that it's more centralized. Lisa, go ahead.
Or just a shout out, I guess. Just want to say, gals, your presentations every year are just fantastic. The amount of work that goes into them and the work you guys do is phenomenal. I caught on about the Chamber online market. I actually went on it last week, and it is great. So I suggest anybody who's listening out there today, go check it out. Some of the local artisans that we have in this community and surrounding areas, the stuff is fantastic. So I think that's fantastic that the Chamber of Commerce itself is doing that. Also, just being a bit of a devil's advocate, I know insurance-wise, you're not allowed to partake in the parade, but you can give some guidance. I'm just wondering if there's been any talk from any other organizations with the Chamber to perhaps set a meeting, because July 1st is coming fairly quickly.
I am not aware. Good question, Lisa. I think Marley has spoke with someone at the town, possibly Karen, a little conversation about July 1st, but I'm not privy to those details at this time.
Okay, no, thank you so much. Appreciate all you do, guys.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? All right, I got a couple questions. So the building enhancement closes tomorrow. So have you had a good response on that?
Yeah, I would say the applications, I haven't counted them up yet, but I think they're pretty comparable to last year. And I think we had 14 applications last year.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And the downtown's really showing. So keep up the good work there. I'm just going to advocate towards the downtown revitalization program. And I know that you haven't put into the legacy fund, but I'm wondering when you are looking at that, if you would consider maybe some projects that as a whole we can work together and maybe use some of that funding towards that. So you don't have to answer me, just keep that in your mind. And Lisa, can you keep advocating and on behalf? And the virtual VIC project, I'm really interested in how that's going. And I know that we had talked at one point about maybe possibly having something where people could, kind of like the mall, where they could push the buttons and get as much information. So is that something you guys are still kind of looking at, or is it, I know COVID has changed everything, but.
Yeah, it certainly has. And that's, spurred this on and pushed us more in this direction. So the opportunity to partner with Grant MacEwan University to have some students come together and hopefully put some ideas together for us and then report back to us. So I've met with the class twice now, and they'll be doing their final reports at the end of March. I'll be going to Edmonton to partake in that. So once we get that report back and see what items we can implement, certainly that type of thinking, I think, is on the radar for going forward, definitely.
Excellent. And how many did you have enroll in that discovery program?
The drum discovery program, the training program last year. So we only were able to do the customer care part, and you're testing my memory. And we haven't opened up registration for this year, but I want to say we're probably around 20 last year. Heather Carlson probably would know the answer better than I do. But yeah, we're hoping to be able to do that in person and do the FAM tour. Of course, we couldn't do the FAM tour last year. We just did the customer care training online. But the goal is to have it all in person this year.
Well, that's excellent, because, even getting acknowledged, I know it was through Expedia about the friendliest community and stuff. And it's just those kind of things, those small details that make all the difference. So thank you guys for all that work, and keep it up. All right, council, anything else? Okay, ladies, we'll let you have the rest of the night off. So thank you so much for joining us. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, we shall move on to 6.3 at Drumheller Senior District Foundation, and Glenda, your Chief Administrative Officer, will be giving a presentation. So welcome, Glenda.
Thank you so much for having me this afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Glenda Youngberg, and I'm the CAO for the Drumheller District Seniors Foundation. I've started here in October 2018. However, my life in social housing and seniors housing is many, many years. So I'm well adversed in all the district and different things that involves dealing with government financing and loans and stuff like that. Anyway, before we start, Tom is sharing his screen with you so that I can read and he can do the thing. So on slide number 2, we have a video that we did last spring to promote our social housing at Sunshine Lodge, and we didn't do Hillview Lodge because it's a different situation. So Tom, can you play that? So that was done by a local fellow. He's shots photography, and it was just really awesome to work with him. And we really took advantage of his great vision for us. So our purposes and our vision for our lodges are: we lead community in an age-friendly, home-like setting. We ensure that Drumheller and District seniors have a high quality of life to provide affordable and supportive accommodations. Values of dignity and respect, choice, collaboration, integrity, compassion, and well-being. Number 4, it's our overview of the foundation. We serve the following. We serve the town of Drumheller, Starland County, Village of Mourne, Village of Munson, Village of Delia. We have 60 employees. Almost all of our employees, except for management, are unionized. And we own and operate Sunshine Lodge and Hillview Lodges. As you can see, Hillview Lodge is called a designated supportive living lodge, which means that we have a contract with Alberta Health Services, who help fund our ability to look after the higher need residents in that lodge. Independent living, we also own the 12 cottages which are adjacent to Sunshine Lodge, and that's independent living. The history of Drumheller and Seniors District Foundation was created by ministerial order under Section 5 and under the outline of Section 6 in the Alberta Housing Act of 1960/95. The function of the organization is to provide the adequate, suitable accommodations and that are accessible to seniors based on individual needs. We have 2 separate identities when you come to housing when you live in seniors housing. Self-contained is total independent housing. We do not own the self-contained units, which are Manors 1 and 2. The Delia 6 units are Highlanddale, and Mourne have 4 suites, Blooming Prairie. Also the Riverview Villas, we don't own any of those, but we do manage them on behalf of Alberta Seniors and Housing Corporation. As you can see, Sunshine Lodge, we are 64 units presently, and that's a supportive living 2. And again, Hillview Lodge is 36 units, and that is a higher level of living, which supports most people in wheelchairs, definitely walkers. We have 24 staff, healthcare aides in that unit, and which are employed by us as well. Our budgeting, the requisitioning, this is where the town of Drumheller and all our cooperative villages are and county participate in helping us fund what we do. As you can see the breakdown, I won't have to read out any of that. I'm sure all of you can see that. As I said, 50% of what you requisition to this foundation is to help primarily the debt of Sunshine Lodge. We renovated in 2003. In 2008, they took on the construction of Hillview Lodge. Now, the Sunshine Lodge was paid off last August, hallelujah. And we only have the Hillview Lodge left alone, and that should be paid off probably, I'm estimating, in early summer of 2023. So that will relieve a bit of our debt issues when it comes to paying back the loans. It also helps us pay the other outstanding loan or expenses that we have as part of the looking after our seniors. So our lodge, I combined the lodge's revenues. As you can see, most of it's rent for Sunshine, the rental for cottages, and the Hillview rents, where the rents is total of $1,867,538. Residential services such as cable, Wi-Fi, laundry, we also charge that on top of the rent. Guest meals we do charge. We haven't been really doing a lot of the guest meals because of COVID. We've opted not to have those at the present time, so we put a little bit of money in there just in case. The Lodge Assistance Program is from the Alberta government. They provide us with a lot of various different, it's a daily figure And if you fall under, I believe it's $28,997. If you're under that level on your line 150 of your income tax, you are subsidized. And the Lodge Assistance Program helps subsidize those seniors who are low income. So that's approximately the money we get from them. And of course, the operational funding. Now, this is where we break it down. We requisition $985,000 annually from the various communities, towns, and county. And then we do the Alberta Seniors and our Alberta Health Services. They give us $746 and 400 and some to help with the healthcare at Hillview only. So that's where we're at with that, in case you need a breakdown. Utilities, they're usually high, and we strive to maintain our costs as best as we can. We review everything annually. We try to keep our operating down. Where you can see, we spend a lot of money on human resources because we are in the service industry, and it takes, and we are unionized, so we do have a contract with the QP. So we do spend a ginormous part of our budget on human resources, and for obvious reasons, because we're in the service industry. Administration, travel, office expenses, and then of course the health, which is DSL. So our total expenses breakdown for all the lodges is $3,853,610. Self-contained, we receive a budget from the Alberta Seniors and Housings for self-contained. We always run in a deficit with them because we do not have the capacity to charge people the normal market rent. Rent is charged at 30% of their annual gross income. And so therefore we are well below what Drumheller would ask for a one, and they're all one bedroom. So we're quite a far below that. So with the help from the Alberta government, we do run a deficit in there, and it's usually like 2022, we're at 29,000, almost $30,000 for a deficit in, and which is a lot of our buildings are getting old. And so we spend a lot of money bringing them up to the level that we need to bring them up to. We also have a capital budget that we can request Alberta Seniors and Housing for large items such as flooring, like for the hallways. If we need windows, we just had all the windows done at Manor 1, which were old. So that contracted was out, the Alberta Seniors and Housing contracted that out for us. We didn't have to pay for that. So those large ticket items are usually contracted out by Alberta Seniors and Housing. We just take care of the operation and the maintaining of the units, the apartment buildings, the villas, etc., on an annual basis to maintain as best we can. Future plans. This is the big one. So we've going to expand. We have approval to expand our Hillview Lodge by 26 new SL4 rooms. Now, SL4 means a higher level of care. And so we take in more people that are really in need. Most of them will be in wheelchairs, not so much that we have now, but we'll be having more of them. We've also planned for a new central kitchen because our Hillview and Sunshine kitchens are not big enough to accommodate 26 new rooms. So we've added on a new kitchen plan for the whole lodge. So instead of having 2 kitchens, one at Sunshine, one at Hillview, we'll have one big kitchen for everybody. And we're going to demolition the Wing 500, which was the 1960s wing at Sunshine. They only had sinks and toilets. They're very small. So we're tearing that down and we're adding 8 more 1-bedroom, almost like self-contained units. These people who rent these units will be able to still have lunch or supper or breakfast at the lodge in the dining room if they so choose. If they do not, they may eat a meal in their room. They will have a fridge, a stove, to accommodate them cooking their meal in their own room if they choose. We just thought this is the new model moving forward into the 21st century. So we're going to give Drumheller a leg up a little bit and move us on to a new kind of a model. So we're looking forward to that. This, you can see the plan there. Now the top portion of your screen, it looks, that's the biggest I could get the plan. That's the 26 new rooms plus the new kitchen. And then at the lower part of your screen, that'll be the 8 sort of self-contained units that we're going to add on to Sunshine Lodge in place of the 500 wing, which we are going to tear down and add that new one on. This is what the new wing at Sunshine is going to look like. We took these pictures from one of the places that they've done this in Red Deer. So there'll be like mini little apartments. They will have a kitchen, fridge, stove. They won't have a dishwasher, sorry. But they have a little dining room, and then they have a fully handicapped bathroom with that you can roll into the bathroom with wheelchair, whatever. They also have the 1 bedroom, which will accommodate either a double bed, twin beds, or queen size bed. And those are going to be we hopefully will be our plus 1 rentals at Sunshine Lodge. We're also going to put patios or decks off each unit. You can't see that here. They don't have the design, but we're going to put little decks off each unit so that the residents who live in these units will be able to take advantage of some own private patios or decks, and we're really looking forward to that. Any questions?
Thank you, Glenda. Tom, I'll get you to, thank you very much. Okay, council, who would like to start with any questions?
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add to that presentation, just to kind of bring new council up to speed, that the seniors accommodation is not like just an apartment building. So what happens in an apartment building if the rent or if the costs go up, what do? You raise the rent. Everybody pays more rent, it covers the costs, etc. What happens with the seniors supported living housing is that there are a lot of the seniors who cannot pay and do not pay an awful lot because they don't have much for income. So it is extremely subsidized for some of these people. So that's where the requisition comes in. The requisition basically pays for the difference between what we can generate in revenue and what the shortfall is. That's what the requisition is. And so some of these people, you can raise the rent, but you're not going to raise any more money. And that's kind of the way it works. So then we rely on the requisition. So
Go ahead.
Thank you, Glenda. That was a very informative presentation. I've been having people asking me, when is the start and anticipated completion of the SL4? And will this help to alleviate some stress on the acute care wing at the hospital? Will those people be able to come to this SL4 now?
We're going to be we're going to be starting as well. We haven't got the final go ahead yet, so we're still in the pre-construction phase. So we are going to be, it will be, now this is really touchy. This is Alberta Health Services, okay? They give us X number of dollars to put the people in there. We don't get to pick. We do, but they have to apply through Alberta Health Services to be at a certain level. If they qualify to be in that level for an SL4, then they send the application to us. Then we go through it. We interview the client to see if we are able to look after them with the means that we have here. Then if we say yes, then we bring them in. So this is not, I don't get to pick who comes in. We don't get to pick. We get to interview those people, and most of recommendations that they give us, they have criteria, we have criteria, we will accept that person. And then they qualify for that higher living. And there's 24/7 healthcare aides in this building in Hillview. And so we need more staffing. If we add 26 more rooms, we need more everything. A little scary.
Yeah, further to that, Crystal, yes, there are people at the SL4 level in the hospital right now who would be in the new SL4 wing.
That'll alleviate a little bit of what's going on in the hospital and in the general community all over. So we're really short here.
It's exciting to know that there is going to be some growth and keeping our residents in our community instead of them being sent to other communities. So,
and that's what's happening now. They go someplace else.
Right.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for clarifying.
Yeah.
Tony, go ahead.
Yes, exciting presentation, Glenda. Very excited to see the SL4 coming forward, much needed in the community. Quick question on vacancies. For a long time, we had a very long waiting list to get in. Give us an idea of the lineups now.
Are you talking for the Hillview Lodge or Sunshine Lodge?
For Sunshine.
Sunshine is not, we have not that big of a waiting list. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think COVID has really pushed everybody back. Everybody's scared to come into community living or communal living, I should say. We are finally getting out of that scary part where, oh, don't go to the lodge because it's not good. So we're moving in that direction. We have, and our 400 wing is really small. The rooms are just got that toilet and sink. That's where our vacancies are. Everything else, we're good. So we've got, I think, about four units in the 400 wing with just the toilet and the sink in there. They're vacant. And everybody else, we've gotten, I think I've got 3 more people moving in this month and towards the end of this month into the 700 wing, which is a normal size. And we should be couple suites, and everybody is interested in couple suites. I have 2. They're nice. So if anybody wants a couple suite, put the word out. So we're doing good.
Yeah.
We're doing way better.
Further to that, Tony, we have been in contact with many other lodges and many other supportive living facilities, and COVID has really hindered a lot of operations. That because when COVID hit, the number one worst place that COVID hit were the seniors conjugate living residences. There has been over the last 2 years a real backlash and a real fear of seniors going into these conjugate living facilities, and that is universal practically all over the world.
But oddly enough, we had no COVID, not one. So wow, we were lucky. But again, the fear is there. They're not sure. But again, that says something for how my staff, it's not me, it's my staff, how vigilant they were, how the cleaning was, masking, letting people in, signing in. So for Drumheller to not in this lodge and Sunshine Lodge, not to have a COVID outbreak is phenomenal. It's rare. And we should be patting ourselves on the back almost, but don't touch wood just in case. We're not over it yet.
Yeah, so our need is still there and our demand for more unit is there. So
yeah,
good.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be, there's a lot of people in the hospital, in the continuing care over there that will probably move over here. They're just waiting because we're designated 3 right now. So we can't legally, according to Alberta Health Services, take anybody with higher need. So we're waiting for that SL4, and then we can up our level of care and we're good to go. But it's baby steps right now.
Hey, Daryl, go ahead.
Question just for either Glenda or Tom. Just I wasn't sure from your presentation, is your funding that you received, the $7 million for the facility, that doesn't include the additional rooms, like the last part you talked about, the little places with the kitchens and stuff, is that
No.
money that you're needing to raise separately to construct those?
Yeah, we borrowed $5 million for the Sunshine, that's the Sunshine renovation. And then that'll build 8 little mini self-contained units, plus renovate the old kitchen, that's 1960s kitchen, we'll renovate that into offices at Sunshine. Then part of that money that we borrowed, 5 million, will go for the new kitchen over that we're building. So we're having one big community kitchen for Hillview and Sunshine. And then, but the 7 million is for just Hillview. That's government money that we are getting. It's not, it's just given, it's a grant. I don't know, did I answer that, Daryl?
Yeah, you did. Thank you, Glenda, perfectly.
All right, Pat, did I see your hand up?
I did, but I think Daryl had my question, but I guess the other question is continual fundraising for sort of the chattels and things that we need. Are you guys actively in a campaign to make sure that we have not only a new facility, but a welcoming, warm, modern facility as well with what we can contain within?
We are, I can't advertise yet officially because we're in the pre-construction phase and they won't let me say anything. That's the government. So once, to be honest with you, we're a little over budget right now. So now we're negotiating. Okay. And so we're still negotiating. So once we agree on the bottom line, then there'll be a formal announcement by the government of Alberta, and there'll be a big shovel in the ground thing. So until then, we're still in the pre-phase, and we're working on it.
Okay, I know often with even school projects and stuff, you know, the government often pays for the building envelope, but the things inside are often the things that we need to work towards. And yeah, if there is campaigns, we definitely.
Yeah, once we have the word that we can go with this project as we stand, then we're going to be fundraising like crazy people. So let's hope that works out well for us.
Yeah,
Awesome.
the way it was described to us, Pat, the 7 million is designed to build a facility. So if you can imagine picking up the facility and turning it over and shaking it, everything that falls out, the foundation is responsible for funding. So we are going to have to fund all of the equipment, all of the furniture, the beds, you know, anything like that. The foundation is going to have to find the funds to do that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, I got a couple. So you're saying you have 2 couple suites. Are those like 2 rooms?
2 separate rooms, yes.
2 separate rooms.
And you can get 2 twin beds in the bedroom. And you can get, and then they have a bad walk-in shower there off the bedroom. And then there's a little mini kitchen. It's a little living room. You can get two maybe recliners, TV, and there's a sink with a microwave. That's a little kitchenette.
Well,
those are available now.
Those should be easy to go. So I guess asking that, I've got 2 questions, or I'll finish this one. So do you guys advertise? I know I've seen one advertisement in the paper, but do you do a bunch of advertising, Facebook, all that kind of stuff to get those? Because I get that a lot, is that there's spaces available and we're not pushing hard enough. So I know you guys are doing different things. I'm just going to publicly say it so that anybody does question that, you know, you guys can say you are working at that.
We do work at that. That's why we did that promotional video that I played at the first part. That's on our website for somebody who's never been to the lodge who wants to come and look at Sunshine Lodge. And we have sporadic, we took an ad out on paper. We do often, we don't do a lot on, we do some on Facebook, but I don't want to plague Facebook because that's more of activities. But we have put our units on Facebook for rent. Please contact, you know, the resident manager at Sunshine Lodge. So those things we have in it. But like I said, as of this spring, it has picked up tremendously. We were really held back by COVID. Like crazy. Nobody wanted to come in, like nobody. So
So
just,
back to, oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
So back to the Sunshine Lodge renovation, you said you're only doing 1-bedroom ones. Is that because you rent those faster than the 2-bedroom?
They're going to be like self-contained, Heather. They're going to have like a little fridge and a stove, which we don't have right now in any of the lodges, any of the lodge rooms. We have none. So these are special. This is the new forward-thinking forecast for seniors housing. So there'll be a fridge and a stove, just like a mini kitchenette, a little living room, a 1-bedroom, which will accommodate two twin beds, 2 or queen size bed, and a walk-in shower. Off that will be a patio deck. Now,
But I guess my question is why wouldn't you have a couple 2-bedroom ones? Because
they, according to what we did, the survey when we went out to, when we did the RFP through the government, that was the model that they suggested would be the most. They did say the 2 bedrooms, but we felt that would be a gamble for us.
okay.
Because
right,
you can't get 2 people in the 1 bedroom. I know, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
the
was-
number
it was a
one
toss.
waiting list that we have
Yeah.
is for the cottages. And these units will kind of mirror the cottage arrangement.
Okay.
So we're hoping that a number of the people who are on the waiting list for the cottages will see these as being, just the same, if not better, because they'll be way newer. So that was kind of our target.
Now, so you can have your meal at Sunshine if you want. You can have breakfast, or you don't have to. You can just have 1 meal. We'll work out the cost, and you can move in that direction.
Okay, so this is probably more towards Tom, and I hope I don't put you on the spot here, but I'm just curious. So when we saw the breakdown, what the town gives, the Starland, I mean, it obviously goes down in increments. Does your voting, like you are strictly a municipal ran board, there's no volunteers, correct? It's all just municipal elected officials?
Yes.
Okay, so is your voting based on percentage of what you give? Because there's quite a discrepancy from top to bottom there. So I'm just curious, do you each have 1 vote, or is it based on the volume of funding?
Tom?
Solid waste management comes to mind, if that answers your question.
Okay, so you have 1 vote, 1 vote basically. Okay, that's all right. I just, it's just quite a difference in funding. So I was just curious.
Yeah, and also, I guess further, the requisition, how that is calculated, that is based on the equalized assessment of the areas. And so whatever the equalized assessment comes in, that determines the percentage that these areas pay for the requisition. And over the last couple of years, well, it's been what, 3 years now, Glenda, that we have not increased the requisition?
Since I've been here, since
Yeah,
2018.
so 3 or 4 years, we have not increased the requisition, but the amount that Drumheller has had to pay has actually increased because the equalized assessments for the other areas have gone down more than the equalized assessment for Drumheller. So it used to be, some saying 5 years ago, Starland Drumheller was pretty much 50-50 or 48% kind of a thing. And now because the equalized assessment in Starland has gone down considerably over the last few years because of their linear assessments, unfortunately, the town of Drumheller has had to pick that up. So we are paying now, 52-53% of the requisition.
Okay, and so it's not based on how many of like Drumheller or surrounding areas, each area doesn't pay per how many people use, it's based on
the equalized assessment, yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
no, and I
you
just
talk
think that
about you talk about the intermunicipal. Well, we have numbers of people from Wheatland. We have numbers of people from, other areas that don't pay anything into our requisition coming into our seniors' residences.
Yeah, so I guess, just I'm looking the, listening public who ask how, why we give this funding. I think that's why we're having these intermunicipal conversations, so that if if we're using their services, we should be helping them. And if they're using our services, they should be helping us. And it should be a balance and fairness to all.
We totally
Okay,
agree
great.
with that. We totally agree with that, because we take a lot of people from that don't belong in the requisitioning section, like Starland County and Drumheller. We have people from Drumheller. We have people from Rocky Ford and Rosebud and Czar. They're not in the requisitioning, but we do take them. So
Yeah,
I
and
agree.
so they
Yeah.
get the same,
Exactly.
they get the same subsidized fee
Yeah.
that's,
They
okay.
sure- Yeah, they sure do.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for all of that, you guys. And sorry on some of those tough questions. Anybody else? Okay, Glenda, well, thanks a million for being with us. And as always, it's great to see you. Please say hello to all the seniors. Of course, with COVID, I haven't been able to come and visit, but the moment you give me the green light, I will bring back the treats and come and visit and hang out again. So thanks so much. And thanks, Tom, for that.
Do you want me to stay around? We're going, Tom, we're going.
Yeah, you can stick around for a bit here. Yeah.
I'll just, yeah.
It
Thank you
might
so
be a little while, so go get a coffee or a donut or.
much. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to 7.1.1. Daryl, could you give us an update on the garbage disposal billing, please?
Sure. So just going to give a bit of an overview, first of all. So on page 45, this is the strategic priorities chart. And so what we're going to do every committee of the whole is update everyone through a bit of more of a formal process of providing a briefing note. And it's just a way to help us all track what we're saying and doing and the progress of it. So you can be able to take your page on 45 and look at that as we go through these over the next few months. So garbage disposal billing, just give you a short overrun of it. The town of Drumheller, as sort of Tom alluded to, is a member of the Drumheller District Solid Waste Association. There are 15 member municipalities, so Nehill County, Wheatland County, Starland, Delia, Hazar, etc. And they all represent the board, and so of the DDSWMA. And one of the things that had been noticed a couple of years ago was just that there's a big inequity in the system of how we're actually charging at the landfill. So all the municipalities pay based on a population requisition. So in Drumheller, and it's all based on Statistics Canada. So in Drumheller's case, our population was 7982. So we would pay a percentage of the overall bill based on our population, as would Starland, Hazar, Rockyford, etc. But what was happening was that the system was really designed for residential pickup only, which worked fine for 14 of the 50 municipalities. But with Drumheller, we have so much commercial garbage, which is, I call that the green GFL bins, that we were really being subsidized. The commercial businesses were being subsidized by both residential customers in Drumheller, as well as the other 14 member municipalities. So the board passed a motion in Christmas time to basically start charging Drumheller for these fees that they're missing in collecting. And so we've been working with the collector to implement a fee system for the commercial customers. So, and part of the inequity was that some of these customers have been paying for 4 or 5 years, but the majority of them have not been paying. So letters went out last week with an April 1st effective date for the implementation. So for those listening at home, they say, I pay for my garbage. Well, actually what you do if you have a GFL bin is you pay for the collection service, so the ability to transport it from your bin at your business to the landfill. But the landfill does not charge anything for the weight that's actually deposited in the landfill. And commercial weight in Drumheller makes up about 50% of the overall garbage tonnage. So it's a significant amount of tons that go in the landfill and effort that's required to actually bury the waste and stuff. So again, it's trying to make it equitable with other municipalities within our region. really is trying to do what everyone, pretty much everyone else in Alberta and beyond does with respect to garbage disposal, and they charge it based on the amount of material coming in the systems or into the landfill. So that's kind of a high level overview of it. So we've been talking to some of the businesses already, we probably will over the next couple of weeks while letters go out. So once you explain it to them, that everyone seems pretty understanding about the change that's happening. So if there's any questions.
Go ahead, Lisa.
So just a quick one. I know when I used to do business downtown, we'd have one bin for 5 or 6 businesses that we all kind of shared. Are you running into situations like that where there's a communal bin, and how is that taken care of or addressed?
So someone is paying for that communal bin. So that's who the letter would have been directed to, and then they would hopefully in turn know that it's a communal bin. I know I discovered one, or I talked to a person last week who realized that they were a communal bin with the business next door, but the business doesn't know that they have to pay. So there are a few in there, but the idea would be is that whoever the communal customers are, they would share in the cost of it, which we actually think is a great idea. If you don't need and this also gives people the opportunity to look at optimizing their collection service. So if you don't need twice a week pickup, or you don't need the size of bin you have, the ability to actually right size your service is one of the good opportunities of this. But yeah, so usually if there's a bin out there, not usually, if there's a bin out there, someone's paying for it, and it's a matter of talking to the people who are using that bin.
So when it comes to accounting, that sounds like it might be a bit of a nightmare, especially for businesses that require invoices for their own books. Will that be getting addressed later on?
So again, it's so if a business is asked for a bin and then it's being shared by 3 or 4 other businesses, it's up to that business to determine how they're charging the other customer, how they're charging their neighbors, or if they want to. And again, I think in some cases people didn't know they were communal, and in others they have been. So they've been splitting the costs differently depending on the situation. So.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thanks for that, Daryl. Let's move on to 7.1.2, Mauricio, utilities rate review terms of reference, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. On page number 47 of the council agenda, you will see my briefing note regarding the terms of reference for the utility rate model. So this year in 2022, we plan on engaging a consultant to develop or update, I should say, our utility rate model, which is what we are going to be using to set the rates for the next 5 years. That utility rate model will also help us when we build our budgets in future years. And right now we have the terms of reference. We are reviewing them. I have shared them with others in the organization, and we plan on having an RFP completed in April of 2022. So that will allow us to have what we need before the next budget cycle in the late fall. So that's where we're at. And if there are any questions that council may have, I'll be happy to answer.
All right, council, do you have any questions? Sorry, go ahead, Tom, please.
Thanks, Mauricio. Just wondering, are we in the next number of years, are we kind of going towards a full cost recovery model? Is that something that is planned? And if so, kind of when might that hit? Because I know we've been kind of edging in that direction over many years. And I'm just wondering when we might get there.
That's a really, really good question, Councillor Tom. we absolutely going to continue working towards a full recovery model. To be honest with you, the timing will depend on what capital investment we are going to be having in the near future and in the midterm, I guess. So I know that we do have in the capital plan several projects that are going to be affecting the rate model, as council knows. So the timing is really hard to predict, but I can tell you that the idea is to move towards that, but at the same time knowing that those rate increases have to be reasonable year after year, because I know that that's what council would want to see, and it'll be good for the community.
Anybody else? All right, well, thank you, Mauricio, for the update. So next we will go to, what do we got? Human resources. What do we got? Who's doing? Sorry. I am trying to find you. Val, are you doing that?
Yes,
On
I am.
7.1.3, please, go ahead.
So just an update with regard to the salary survey. The terms of reference has been drafted.
Excuse me, Val, your screen's not on. Do you have?
For some reason, it's not allowing me to turn it on.
Okay, well, you can fix that for next time, but you go ahead.
Is that better?
There you are. Thank you.
Very odd. I just had to go to a different place on the screen. I apologize. So yes, the salary survey terms of reference have been drafted. We're going to be focusing on 30 unique jobs to cover a number of different jobs in the organization, both in and out of scope positions. We're going to be looking at similar rural communities, but in particular, those communities that are located close to larger centers, because I think that poses a different challenge than rural communities that are more remote. Twofold that the survey will do for us is provide us information in terms of our current challenges in recruitment and our wages and our comparability to those similar communities, but it also help provide information later on in the year for negotiations. So that will be helpful. We see some questions and concerns recently with regard to differences in recruitment salaries for similar jobs, anywhere from $6 to $12 an hour. So it will be good to get some base information and have a look at those communities that are around us or around larger areas as well. So, yeah.
Thank you for that update. Council, do you have any questions? No. Okay, we look forward to the next update on that, Val. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on to 7.1.4, Darren, Recreation, Arts and Culture.
Evening, everyone. So I've got a couple of items here just to give an update on. First one being the Recreation Membership Program and marketing. So actually with both of these topics that I have here this evening, I just want to comment that without the collaboration between Recreation and the great work that the communications team have done, these wouldn't be possible. So a shout out to both those teams, if I may. Council approved a new membership model back in December. And so we recognized that it was going to be important to do some marketing around that new model. And we've rolled that new model out as of January 1st. So we've been doing social media release, of course, radio, print, and engagement through the staff. So one of the other things that we also did was a utility bill insert to promote that new membership model. And then we've also engaged with Canada Post for a mail out of postcards, two-sided postcards that maybe you've already seen in your mailboxes, promoting recreation and the memberships that are available. So that went out to about 2,700 properties. And then we've also engaged them for a social media campaign that will go out through February and March through Google and Facebook. On top of that, promoting some of the recreation classes in collaboration with our instructors, we are offering what's called tasters coming up over the next couple of weeks. So we've got 6 classes that are available for free for everybody to come in and try and see if they like it, so that they can determine which classes they may prefer or like to get involved with. So those are from February 23rd to March 3rd. With the membership marketing and that, we're going to have to be doing this all year round. But we wanted to really focus on just coming off of the implementation and through the winter here. And then we will probably back off a little bit as we get to the summer months. And then we will ramp it up again when we get into the fall and that for more marketing of the membership. I don't know if there's any questions about that program.
Does anybody have anything? Nope, I think you can carry on to the banquet hall.
Okay, so with the banquet hall, coming off of COVID, and I sure hope we're coming off of COVID, we recognize that banquet halls were slow and we needed to take a look at how we could get people back in hosting events in our facility and that. So again, with the comms team doing a great job, we've done a full revamp of our wedding packages and our conference promotional packages, and they are currently in the print stages and should be available online and in that print by the end of this month, if not sooner. We have also engaged a company called Lono in a campaign to actively market the banquet halls. And what they do is they do a social media campaign, and the ads are directly to ideal target audiences. So, and that's through various apps and websites such as Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And so they're doing geofencing based on people's online interests and behaviors. So people that are looking for weddings or conferences are going to start seeing some of our ads pop up. And Erica, I'm not sure if she's online. She's a little bit more knowledgeable with all of the terminology and how that works. So if she's got something she'd like to chime in, I would encourage her to do so as well.
Done a wonderful job capturing it all, Darren. I don't have anything to chime in with, really. You're doing great.
And I think one of the biggest things is just for us in comms and in recreation and with the banquet halls and that, is to continue to look for emerging trends and different ways of us to be able to market and get the word out about our great facility and encourage people to start booking the facility for their events again as we come off of COVID here. So certainly I would open the floor to any questions that people have on this one.
Tom, go ahead.
Thanks, Darren. Regarding the banquet facility, convention facility, the AV equipment seemed to have been a little bit hit and miss. I mean, I've attended many events there. Sometimes it's just fine, works great. Sometimes it's intermittent, sometimes not so great. I just wondering, was there not a plan to kind of upgrade some of the AV stuff in those rooms?
Yes, there was, Councillor. In the 2021 capital budget, there was approval for the upgrading of the AV in the banquet halls. That has been awarded to Evolution AV, and we've been working our way through it. Unfortunately, it's been a victim of all the delays of shipment of product and parts and shipping in general. And so we're already behind what the timeline originally was on it, just simply due to products arriving on site. So we are hopeful through them, and the last bit of information that we have from them is that they should see some of those products in March arriving, and then we'll be able to schedule for the installation, and that, fingers crossed that that timeline is still accurate.
Lisa, go ahead.
Have you seen an increase in membership or monthly membership purchases after the REP had been dropped?
Well, we've seen a few more of the members that we hadn't seen in the past coming back slowly. So I guess the quick answer is yes, we've seen an increase from that. I wouldn't say it's drastic yet. We have also had some feedback of people that weren't happy that the REP was dropped. So a little bit of a trade-off in that. So we're still amidst the COVID situation and people's beliefs and feelings about it all.
Gotcha. I just want to pass on a bit of feedback from a couple of members that I know that have recently just went back. They said the cleanliness of the facility is phenomenal. So pass that on to whoever it needs to. It was great to hear.
Thank you.
And then from the other standpoint, other aspect I wanted to ask, so for those who had a membership and now have enrolled into the new model, what's the feedback on that like? Are people happy with the new rates, or is there still a lot of kickback thinking that it's maybe more in the long run?
Not as far as the rates go. People are hesitant for a couple of different reasons. One is they are hesitant due to the continuous model of rolling each month over. They are also a little bit hesitant due to the requirement for financial information to be provided to us to be able to do the continuous model. But when we speak with them and talk them through it and let them know that they are able to cancel those memberships if they so wish to as well. But also when we really market and promote the fact that council approved a lower rate, allowing more people to participate with less financial barriers, and that people are quite happy to hear that the rates have been lowered in that. So they're grateful at that point.
Perfect. Thanks for that.
Anybody else? Yeah, I just have one. So the recreation membership program marketing and the banquet hall launch campaign, are those like, are we considering those done now? Like, or how long are those going on?
Well,
Like I guess done. I'm just looking at the strategic priority and I'm like, am I going to be bugging you again, or are you off the hook on this now?
With council's permission, I guess I would like to ask that we take them off the list. I'm more than happy to provide an update later in the year as to how things are going in that's for sure. But it will also allow us then to start focusing on some of the other priorities within recreation as well.
Okay, well, I personally think we got what we set out to get. So is it council okay with that? I'm getting a nod. So good job, Darren. It's nice when I can put complete on these. And I got one question on the hotel or the banquet hall campaign. Is there a chance, one thing that when you hear of people having conferences, the reason they take this hotel or this conference over that one is because they have a hotel attached. So obviously we don't have that, and hopefully maybe someday we will. But is there a way to work with the hotels in basically, okay, if you book your conference here and the hotel would help us with the rates, and we can use the belly bus or some of the bands to shuttle people, maybe that will get more conferences, because I think that's a big thing is, people don't want to have to drive. And I know I've been to different conferences where a bus comes and picks us up, and so it works out pretty good. So just a suggestion is maybe that, working with some of our local hoteliers to see what ideas they have, because obviously the more conferences we get, the better they do, the better our all of our services do, our retailers, our restaurants and everything. So, just see if there's a way that you can maybe make that contact and see how we can work together.
Okay, good.
All right. Anything else, council? Okay, thanks so much, Darren. That's 2 off of you that say done. Yay.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to 7.1.5, Greg, and I guess you get to say complete on yours that you're going to announce too.
Yes, Your Worship. Last Monday, the council's support of the remedial and properties policy. I'm very grateful, and that is complete. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Greg, for bringing that forward and getting that completed. Let's move on to Dave, 7.1.6. Let's talk about the Nakamine Forest main design.
So the Nakman Forest Main design is, for all intents and purposes, complete. The tender package has been turned over to the town for review. Myself and Bill Adams are currently reviewing it, and we hope to release it to the public for bidding later this week or first thing next week. We have a goal of having the construction carried out over this summer. So we should be, based on that plan, it should be coming to council for award sometime in early or mid-March.
Perfect. Any questions, council, on that one? No. Okay, let's carry on to request for direction, Dave.
So this one is the beautification work that the town has been doing for the last several years. I've attached in the request for direction the document that was giving us, that's been giving the guidance to administration for the last little while. And I would just like to get some guidance from council on what the next steps would be. So right now, there's still some projects that we are working on to complete the boulevards for the areas that have been identified in the scope previously. And there's a couple of areas where we've had some challenges keeping the vegetation growing. So we're correcting those this year. The budget for the 22 year is coming from carry forward from last year. I didn't ask for additional funds for this year based on workload and other resources. But starting in next year, I won't be able to have any more funds available from the carry forward. So I'd like to get some guidance from council on what is council's vision for this project and program going forward. Would you like it to be an ongoing program where we do a few projects every year? I've given some thoughts about some potential descriptions of a project goal statement in here. And I was just hoping to get some feedback from council on what the expectations are so that I can properly plan for this in the 10-year capital budget and for next year's capital work. So that's pretty much what my request for direction is. I'm mostly looking to hear back from council as to comments and thoughts on this. I see.
Lisa, go ahead.
So personally, I think that's something that you should be planning for at least 2 to 3 projects every single year. We want to be the #1 in tourism, or hopefully. So I think anything that we can do to make our community beautiful, not only for our guests, but for the people who live and breathe here, fantastic. So my hope is that you would continue to budget for those projects annually.
Crystal? Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you. I would reiterate that 1 or 2 projects every year should continue forward. I truly believe that when there's a pride of place and people are proud of where they live, it goes into their own communities and into their own homes, their own yards. So feedback that I have heard over the last 2 summers from our business was people were amazed at the transition of our community when they came here. And when they enter our community, it's yeah, they're excited to see what else there is happening in our community and they want to come back. So thank you.
Tony, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm with the budget annually thing. Beautification's ongoing. It's just not a one-shot deal. So yeah, 1 to 3 projects, whatever allows. One question though, was the Gordon Taylor lighting on this, or was that a separate one? Is that a part of this?
I didn't see it as part of this, and so my thought would be we can probably, if the town decides to do it ourselves and we're in cooperation with AT, the funds could come from this, but I'm not certain what the cost levels would that be for that. So my thought would be that we would be budgeting for 1 to 3 projects that would be smaller cost items that our crews would do ourselves. A larger project that would need to be worked with Alberta Transportation that would need more significant funds to pay for lighting in that would probably, I would think, fit better as a separate project outside of this program and do it that way so that so that we can keep achieving things on this. My other thought was, because we've already got the DART projects over the next several years, I was kind of thinking the beautification projects would be something that's not so much in the downtown core, so that these are addressing the more, I'm blanking on a good way to say this, but not the downtown core center, more the entrance points to the town, or even further out into the communities of like Nakmine, North Drumheller, and Midland areas, so that we're not focusing everything just on that central core, because between the flood projects and the DART projects, we're already doing a lot in the downtown.
My thoughts exactly. Leave it as a standalone project and focus this generally across the town. Thank you.
Stephanie, go ahead.
Thanks, Dave, for always being on top of stuff. And I totally in agreement with carrying forward with the beautification program.
Tom's got his hand up there as well.
Yep, Tom, go ahead.
Going alphabetical today?
I just usually pick you first, so I'm letting you go last now.
So my bugbear is, and I haven't gotten any traction on this, is the rusty frickin' light poles that we have all over town, standing on the intersection of 3rd Avenue and 2nd Street West, the main intersection that people coming through this town go through when they're on the highway. Every one of those light poles is a rusty, whatever you want to call it. It looks horrible. Why can't we do something? We've talked to ATCO and they say, well, you know, we replace those when they need replacing. And it's like, okay, so that's going to be a rusty pole for 20 years until it needs to be replacing. I think we got to do something. Like the ATCO doesn't want to do anything. We got to do something because they look just horrible. There's my rant.
Okay, based on my discussions with ATCO, what they've discovered is based on the poles that they use, if we do sand them and paint them, the paint does not last. And as such, rather than having a pole it is rusted, but it's rusted to a single color, we would have flecking paint and fading paint. And so I don't know that it would actually make it look better by painting it. What it may actually result in us having a much more significant operational cost, because that'll be a cost that the town will have to pay to be continuously painting these poles. So I will have another conversation with ATCO, and I'll talk to a coating company to see if I can come up with something that will work to address your concern there, Tom. But my concern is that we may not be able to get to something that will look better based on the exposure that those poles and the material of them have to the salt by the highway. But I will look into it and I will get back to council with a response.
Stephanie, go ahead.
Is this something we could maybe talk with Dino Arts and maybe incorporate some dinosaurs around the poles to bring the eye to dinosaurs?
Possibly, but I don't know if that would help, because the pole, the entire light standard itself is what's rusting. So unless we're putting a lot of T-Rexes in that are quite tall, they're probably not going to cover the pole enough. But I will take a look and see if I can get some options. I'm just thinking maybe if we wrap them somehow, but that it's going to be something that I'm going to have to look into a little bit before I can get a very good, really precise answer.
All right, well, thank you, Dave, and we'll let Tom have his rant every once in a while on the polls. Please keep the projects, 3 projects a year going. Like, let's not stop. So much great work has been done. Please, please, please keep that in your budget. I'm with Tony on the bridge. I think that we need to figure out that on a standalone project. That is the kind of one of the main focuses of coming into the valley. And so if we got to get into that into a capital budget, I'm not sure we're going to get any support. We might get approval to do it from transportation, but I don't think we'll ever get the funding to do it. We're already trying to deal with some of the stuff on the bridge, but please try and put that somewhere over the next year or so. And I noticed you had the Nakamine Community Association on the list, so that's great to see. I would suggest that you meet with them and get some input from them as to how they vision that entrance to look. I know they've had the horse there for a long time, and maybe that's what they want, or maybe they're looking at something different. So if you could reach out to the Community Association on any suggestions and input on that.
I will do that. The other question I just want to try and get some clarity from council on is, we currently have a list of the projects that we're finishing up, and the administration is proposing that the Nakman entrance would be a good next one. Does council have any thought on how they would like to see us kind of identifying additional future projects? Because once this list is kind of run out, which would basically be in the 23-24 window, how does council want to identify the next ones that we want to be doing?
Well, go ahead, Lisa.
I'm sure we're probably on the same page, but let's put together a strategy session specifically just for that, so we can give you direction.
Okay.
And we can do it, once these ones are done, let's do a drive around and let's pick out. I mean, that's how you got rid of all those old signs and how you cleaned up all those areas. I mean, you guys have done a major ton of work, and I want to commend, you and Kevin and everybody at Public Works, because it's taken a lot of work, but it's just doing that, driving around and trying to see it from a vision of what the residents and visitors see. So yeah, that's you want more work, we'll find it for you. Go ahead, Crystal.
Just one quick comment. Can we look at maybe making it a little bit different presentation in our winter months too, since we are trying to attract visitors for all seasons here in the valley? And I know it can be difficult trying to ensure those trees and shrubs are weathered properly, but maybe it's something that could be our next project once that's all completed.
I will start looking into that as a part of the beautification stuff then.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, council.
All right, I will move on to the next one, and that will be 7.1.7 communications, internal communications policy, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So my update is short and sweet. We took the better half of 2021 to develop an intranet, or a staff portal, for employees of the town of Drumheller to capture and just basically have one housing area for policies, procedures, total compensation information, internal correspondence and things like that. So through drumheller.ca, that was included in that tender. So it's of no additional cost to us. So it is completely, well, it's not completely done. There's still some missing information that is being built in the background, but it doesn't impede the form or the flow or function of the staff portal. And with that comes an internal communications policy, which is written and is in the hands of the CAO and HR for review. With that will come any training once approved, and hopefully we'll be able to solidify our internal communications process.
Thanks, Erica. Questions, anyone? Let's just get my screen on here, full screen. I don't see any. All right, perfect. Thanks so much, Erica. Let's move on to Tiffany. 7.1.8, community development and social planning, the needs assessment service plan terms of reference. I will call you, Tiffany, please.
Thank you. So in 2017, April had sent out a social needs assessment for the community with the intention of doing that on a 5-year rotation, and we're at our 5-year mark now. It's especially important for us because there are a lot of changing needs throughout COVID, and over a 5-year term, many of our needs could potentially change. So we've reviewed the assessment that was used in 2017 and are applying some changes so that we can get that out and it can influence our programming choices for the year. Do you want me to just jump into the next one, or okay?
I'll just see if anybody has any comments on that. So just let's see. I don't see. Nobody has any comments. I do. I just got to get back to where I can read my stuff. So on a 5-year rotation, so you guys are planning on doing that again in 22, 23? Is that the goal? Is to do similar to what you did before, so that council has a kind of a vision of what they're supposed to look for in the next 5 years? Is that the goal? This coming up?
Are you meaning to share the information?
Like to gather the information?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Perfect. Sorry, I was just unclear on that. Okay, and now if you want to go into the wellness education, that'd be great.
Okay. So this is something that's very new for our department, but the biggest goal here is to help support the other departments and to offer some cross training and information for the other departments and a bit of advocacy for our residents and where the needs are. So we want to be part of the conversation when it comes to developing walkways or infrastructure decisions or any of the concerns or issues that other departments such as flood mitigation or bylaw are facing. So essentially what we've done so far is we've done a bit of a trial period and a pilot with flood mitigation, and we put together a presentation based on what the needs were there, which the needs at that point were delivering difficult information and better understanding emotional response. So we met with flood mitigation a few times and presented some information to them, and then offered a follow-up debriefing to give additional support for the people who are sitting around that table. So we're in the process of developing this, but it's really fluid and really just depends on what the needs are within the other departments and the community. And so each project might look a little bit differently. It could be trauma-informed response. It could be advocating for some of the mobility needs in our community. It really just depends on what is needed at the time.
Well, thanks for that. Does council have any questions, comments? No? Okay, Tiffany, thank you so much for that update.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to 7.1.9, please. And Reg, you want to give us housing strategy terms of reference information, please?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship and Council. So the terms of reference for the housing strategy is complete. It's going to enable us to hire a consultant to assess and position the residential real estate market in the Valley. 4 main subjects that we're looking at is inventory mix, rental unit availability, affordability, and we're also going to assess short-term rentals. The approach was spelled out in the noting brief. We have some analysis and planning on where we might want to put our next development, as well looking at other jurisdictions and solutions that work there, funding sources, and documenting out the plan. The implications of having it will lead us to having a plan to take advantage of the growth opportunities in the residential market. From a financial perspective, we've got the budget for it in our operational budget plans, and we've also submitted a letter of inquiry to the Alberta Real Estate Foundation's investment grant for a grant for $25,000. And then our target date is March 1st to release the terms of reference so we can get responses from consultants.
Thank you, Reg. Comments, council? I want to just say Thank you, Rich. I want to say thank you to prior Councillor Zarisky or Councillor Fred Makawecki. He worked very hard on housing and he still believes that if we have the homes, we can grow. So let's get on this. I'm glad that you're setting a target date for March to get this going, and hopefully we can get some builders and get this moving quickly. So thanks for that, Reg. Let's move on to your downtown plaza design and budget, please.
Sure. Should I share my screen for this one since it's?
Yes, please, Reg.
Is that showing the entire presentation or? Great.
Yes, it
Sorry.
is.
Great.
Sorry, I
you.
hit my button. Yes, it is.
Perfect. Yeah, so this is the Plaza Design Review. The budget the agenda I have today is to review the budget, the design itself. I've also provided some renderings so I can get a good feel for the space, and then we'll walk through some next steps. So from a budgeting perspective, the current design estimate is within the MSP grant budget that we have. So engineering is around 190,000. The general contractor estimate that we have right now is around 744,000. This leads us at 934,000, which is just under our $940,000 MSP grant. So this is good news. We still have to find a contractor within the RFT process that'll come in at our estimates, but that will happen in the near term. Here's the plaza design itself. So we've reduced the footprint to this smaller area for those who seen the other designs. We do have a really nice bulb out here, so it'll make the plaza visible from Highway 9 and many parts of downtown. So that'll help draw people in to the area. One of the things we've been able to achieve with the smaller footprint is we're going to have higher quality unit pavers throughout. We've also designed the stage to be at the west end of the plaza and in the round to allow for flexibility on where we host events. You can see some of the benches in this area and in this area around the plaza stage so that people can have good seating. We've also pulled some of the furniture from the existing plaza to rest in this area. And we have some movable planters. You can see some of the lights, which are smaller details on the plan, but we have 6 lights in the plaza areas to allow for ample lighting. And we also have electrical plugins within each of those lights so that we could add additional lighting if we wanted to. From an overall approach perspective, as I said, this layout works within our budget. We're going to issue that RFT, and then as funding comes in, we can pivot to a much nicer design and a larger footprint. The stage that you see here and throughout the rendering is actually not the final design, it's a placeholder. So we will, from a stage design perspective, have 3 or 4 pre-qualified design build companies that work under the prime contractor and deliver the final stage product. But all in all, we've taken advantage of the dinosaur theme like we've been directed to, because it's a great advantage of Drumheller. So we're going to have the stage dino theme, benches dino themed, and yeah, it'll be a really nice flexible space. In the day-to-day side of things, you know, we can have people in a more intimate setting, and then for a larger event, we can have food trucks and market tents all along the outside and host a much larger event from a flexibility perspective. I'm going to move into the renderings now, and so Just to let you know, these renderings are roughly 80% accurate. And again, have the stage as a placeholder. This is looking west. One of the things I wanted to point out is that if you see this transition here between the current pavement and the pavers, it's nice and smooth, so it's easily accessible for folks in wheelchairs or people wanting to load carts on wheels back and forth. One of the things I wanted to point out is that in the detailed design, we have different trees and landscaping that allow for increased visibility and line of sight throughout the whole plaza area. Again, our benches here are just normal rendering benches, but we will pull the dinosaur theme through them. But what the rendering does show is that we have quite a large stage space, and it provides ample shading for certain parts of the day. And yeah, the dinosaur theme stage will be a great way to link the themes of the valley into the space. This is another view looking to the east, and this particular dinosaur concept, as you can see, was inspired by one of the Guinness Book of World Records dinosaurs at the Royal Throw Museum. So the largest scale dinosaur, which just received an award. But yeah, as you can see, the ball belt works well, and it's a nice intimate place for people to enjoy in a smaller setting, not just with a large event though. Again, just a little further back, facing west. And then the last rendering I provided is more of an aerial view looking to northeast, and just shows you some of the shed storage and where garbage will be located, but still screened, so that pictures will be able to be taken at events, and the garbages will be screened. Other things I'd like to point out is that there'll be ample power in the plaza, so we will have panels in this area and here, so that if there's food trucks that need power, we can accommodate that. And as well, there's water and a hose bib in the area, so that the plaza can be easily cleaned. Oh, I see some hands up already. Would you like me to stop now and take some questions? Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Lisa. You were first.
Yeah, so the one question I have, looks fantastic, by the way. However, was wind taken into consideration? I know on a lot of the venues that I visit, and they have outdoor stages, they have protection on at least two sides. So I'm just wondering if perhaps maybe, because it's preliminary, that I hope there's going to be some thought put into that to either have something that can drop down to protect the stage or whatever, because you're going to get pretty good wind gusts going through that downtown every once in a while. And it'd be a shame to have such beautiful events interrupted in that way.
Great question. So yeah, this one of the solutions that we're looking for is to have anchors on the posts. Again, this is a placeholder stage that'll allow us to pull down tarps and weatherproof the stage for the performers and the equipment. And then
Perfect.
that can be removed in times when there's not an event on, and they'll still allow for the lines of sight. And yeah. Does
Thanks,
that answer your
Rich.
question? No
Yep.
problem. Thank you.
Crystal, go ahead.
Thank you. It looks great. Just kind of a comment. When I was on the board for development of the skate park, we were really conscious about ensuring we're using the same lighting that was used at the BCF to create that consistency. So I'm wondering if that's of a consideration for the light standards, because obviously this is a preliminary drawing, but the light standards do not match. And maybe there is something that's in place with the town for new lighting, if it's all going to be similar throughout our community. Yeah, but other than that, that's just kind of my comment. So thank you.
Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Reg. This looks really good. And I guess what I like about it is that it looks expandable. And what I mean by that is with the design that we have here, I mean, you can imagine, one performer as shown in the picture, and 50 people kind of standing around or watching whatever. But what I like about it is if and when we have a big event, a big activity, that a lot of that parking can be used as plaza as well. We can just say, okay, we're going to have an activity that's going to have 500 people there, and we're just going to restrict parking on that day. So that's what I like about it. It looks very serviceable, the size that it is. But then if we want to expand it to a bigger event, then it is expandable. So good job.
Thank you. Not just
Oh,
me, by the way. I should thank design team at O2, and there's been a lot of designers working on it. But thanks.
yeah, well, and I want to just thank you so much, Reg, for making sure that you're involving the downtown plaza group and the downtown businesses and everybody around there. So I think listening to everybody, you've created what the questions were asked, and I think you've solved them all. So good job. I'm excited for the stage, though. That's my what I'm so excited about. So thanks a million, Reg. Nobody else has any other questions. We will move on. Okay, let's move on to 9.1.1, Greg, and can we get a update on COVID-19?
I want to give your worship, I'd like to also brief council as rapidly but informatively as possible about the wastewater analysis program the town is part of. Our daily numbers today with COVID in the community, we have 47 active cases. Provincially, the positivity rate is still quite high, 1,400 new cases a couple of days ago, and almost 4,800 tests. Now, our participation, Dave Brett and I, primarily involved in this in the wastewater data analysis with the University of Calgary. Drumheller and 17 other communities are part of the wastewater surveillance program as a collaboration between the University of Calgary, University of Alberta, Alberta Precision Labs, AHS, and the communities that take part. The COVID-19 virus has been demonstrated to be shed in the waste of humans in significant proportions enough of infected individuals that it can be detected by analysis of the wastewater or the sludge. We are part of a wastewater analysis program. Other communities in North America have done both, but ours primarily works through the energy bioengineering and geomicrobiology group at the university. A Dr. Rhonda Clark and a Dr. Michael Parkins are the directors of the team of this. What this system does is they will collect our wastewater, and within 72 hours, they will send us a result, a line graph in the community. And Dave, feel free to kick in at any point. You think I'm missing something here. Through a line graph that we will get, that will give us an indicator approximately 6 to 8 days in advance as to what the community may be facing by way of increasing or decreasing numbers of COVID-19. The results this afternoon show a slight uptake in the numbers, meaning that approximately this time next week, we may see an increase in the number of cases in theory in Drumheller. Now, the analysis of wastewater for disease detection is not new. A particular note is that monitoring sewage in the community's collection or treatment has been used previously to deter early detection of polio, most notably in Israel in the late 1980s. The country of Israel was facing a transmission, a country that had previously been declared free of polio. And at the time, as we still face now, only 3 countries in the world still have deal with polio on a regular basis. Israel adopted a wastewater detection system to alert itself to the presence of polio which is a terribly debilitating disease transmitted by water and person's waste into somebody's mouth. This was used in Israel, and it's been used ever since. Now it's been used for the COVID-19. Basically, this in Drumheller, we're testing the main plant. They can't test East Cooley because it's separate, and it doesn't have the, what's the word, Dave, I'm looking for here, why East Cooley wasn't being tested.
The sampling methodology that we use at East Cooley doesn't match up with the requirements for the testing program. So as the plant that what East Cooley is currently set up, the sample wouldn't be a valid sample for this program.
Very good, thanks, Dave. It's actually very difficult to understand the numbers, and Dave is far better at numbers than I am. We can understand the graph, we can understand the input, we can understand the methodology, but the actual, to interpret the numbers sent to us can be somewhat difficult without a phone call to someone with a PhD at the University of Calgary. However, the program is very accurate. I think it's better to be part of it than to not be part of it. It gives us insight into cases about 6 days in advance, like I say. Some of the people at the university have indicated that the wastewater samples they've seen from all over the province do reflect some of the restrictive measures taken by the provincial government to help limit the spread of the SARS-CoV-2 virus.
Well,
I can
thanks
talk
for
much
all.
longer, but that's pretty much it, Mrs. Goldberg. Yes.
That's a great summary. Thanks so much, Greg. Does anybody have any questions? No. Okay. Well, thanks for that update, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay, so council, we are going to go into closed meeting now. We've got Drumheller District Seniors Foundation, disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party, and Drumheller resiliency and flood mitigation activities, advice from officials. So could I please get a motion to go into camera, please? Go ahead, Crystal.
Motion that council close the meeting to the public to discuss the items under section 9.1 as per FOIP 16, disclosure harmful to business, and 24.
Seconder, please.
Yeah. Okay.
10.1. Yeah.
And 24.
Okay, thanks for that, Denise. She's got it recorded, so we're good. Seconder, I saw Stephanie. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Thank you to everyone, the listening public that were with us today. We will be done as soon as we're done this. Thank you for your time. Have a great week, and make sure you acknowledge your Valentine's today. All the best. Take care.